Welcome back to the real world. I'm Josh Real. In this introduction, I would like to talk about relationship advice for being single. The first step you need to do is to learn how to be perfectly lonely, to be able to love yourself first before you move into a relationship. The best advice that I can give is that you sit there and you be take a self-reflection day. You have to sit there and be able to self-reflect on past relationship, what went wrong, what went right, try to fix what's wrong. I believe you are a mirror image of what you put out. So if you're needy, you're going to get that back in a relationship. So you need to work on that. The best advice that I got for that particular situation of being needy is you need to look at a candle flame. On the breath in, look at the candle flame. On the breath out, look at your surroundings. Make sure that you're aware of what your surroundings are, just on the outside of the candle flame. Do this for 5 minutes a day for about 21 days, and you'll understand that you have to become more aware of what is around you. Uh, Other things that you could work on is you don't need to make the person that you're dating your passion and purpose in life, because that is not your passion and purpose in life. You need to go figure that one out. Uh, an example from my life is that I used to be needy in relationships. I did do the candle flame exercises for 21 days, still do it to this day. I also took up painting, as you can tell from the background. Found out like what I can do in my own free time. Uh, and you need to figure out that instead of making your relationship or even a friendship your passion and purpose. That's not your passion and purpose in life. Uh, when you get when you're able to get into a relationship, you can sit there and make sure that you're not needy and making that person your full-time job. It is like a job when you're in a relationship. You do have to give them time, but you shouldn't make them your passion and purpose. Just like they're not going to make you their passion and purpose either. You need to be able to be individuals and then come together as a unit. One green flag is to start off as friends or casually date uh, and figure out like what your core values and morals are. My values would be God, family, friends. Those are my three core values. And a my I believe my passion and purpose is be a life coach. Uh, Before I forget, if you enjoy this video, I will be making more of these videos. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I would love to hopefully give you great advice. I will, at the end of this video or down in the description box, I do have my own website. If you'd like for me to be your life coach, I would love to help you out one-on-one. Just send me an email uh, in that, describing your goals and everything like that. I do give free consultations to see if we are a good fit to work together. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. You have to be able to be perfectly lonely to be perfectly loved. You might not know what's going on in your life right now. You might have to self-reflect on your past relationships. I mean, same thing that I've done. Everything that I'm telling y'all, I have actually done myself. Uh, so I'm trying to help you out so that way you at least know at least some of the steps that I've taken, so you maybe help y'all. Maybe y'all might go in different steps. Uh, the next step that I would do is to uh, figure out what to do in your free time. Like me and my best friend, either once a week, every week, we either go to local baseball game here, or we go bowling, or we go to movies. Uh, he is a big like Star Wars fan, Marvel. Like the Marvel movies, but I'm not huge into Marvel movies. Just pick something out. Go hang out with your friends at least once a week. Even if you're dating someone, please try and go out with just your friends once a week. Like you let her or him go out with his or her friends once a week. You do have to build. You have to have trust and communication. It's not checking in or being whipped. Uh, it's literally like, hey, babe, I'm going to movies with a friend. This is what time the movie starts. This is time the movie ends. This time when I'll be home. You're not asking permission. You're not being whipped by telling you what you're doing. It's actually a mutual respect thing. That same thing can go for even if a girl has a girl's night out. Girls, you can tell like, hey, this is the friends I'm hanging out with. These are who's going to be there. I wouldn't. Best relationship advice. One of the best relationship advices that I can give is don't ever make it a one-on-one. If you are going to hang out with somebody of the opposite sex, that can break trust issues. You can sit there and just hang out with like 2 or 3 people, even if it's a guy, a girl, and a girl, or a girl, a guy, and a guy. Just making sure that it's like where most, I'd say 95% of the time, nothing's going to happen physically when you got like three or more people in a group. If you're dating someone, if not, everybody sits there and says, go out and push yourself. When you're single, to get somebody that you like. I've dated on many different types of platforms. I've done websites. I've met my actually second ex-wife when I was working with Aaron's doing out on the delivery. First ex-wife, I worked with her in Walmart, which was kind of a joke. I sat there and a friend came up to me. I was doing returns for Walmart. A little backstory. And a friend asked me like, "Hey, take take my returns to the return desk. I'd be happy to. What would you like?" I'm like, "Hey, you know what? Just buy me a Coke when we go on break." She's like, "All right, I can do that." Then the second cashier at the time, who was my first ex-wife, was like, "Hey, take my returns." I was like, "Well, what do you give me in return?" But she was like, "Hey, what do you want?" I said, "Hey, find me a date for Friday night." And just joking around, she was like, "Hey, I'll go out with you Friday night then, if that's all it takes." And that's how we actually started dating. We ended up going on a date that Friday night. We went to Applebee's, just had casual conversation. Uh, when you are starting to date, definitely be an active listener. Uh, Repeat back what they say to you. Don't think of the next thing that you're going to say or how they think about you. That's the part about the neediness. Is like when you think you're ready to start dating, you don't need to think about what they think about you. You want to know if you have a connection with this person, an emotional connection with this person. Guys are a little different. We can usually tell within the first 5 minutes on if we want to date somebody or not. Because first we're going to look at physical attraction. If we don't find you physically attractive, probably not going to date you, no matter how much the emotional connection is. On a personal note, I'm the type of person that if I find you cute, could be different areas in your body, could be your eyes, your face. I am a butt man. I'm not a boob man. Uh, I am different shapes of butts is different for anybody. Some guys, like my best friend, is a foot man. Very obsessed with feet. Guys are different. Guys are attracted to different things. Just like from what I've heard from my friends that are girls, girls are attracted to totally different things. Uh, you do want to be in your own frame. Uh, the crazy thing about it is I didn't know what that meant, so I'm going to explain that to y'all. What I mean by being in your own frame is you know your cores and values. You're not going to, you're going to set boundaries in that. You're not going to give. If you sit there and don't want a smoker, don't give in to that because you think she's cute. That is a value that you believe in. So don't date a smoker. I sit there and say that, and I am a smoker. But trying in the process of quitting. Quit twice. Very stressful times on how I started again. My youngest son, who's 15, just had a major surgery. If I ever get him on, I'll let him explain it if he wants to. All we told family was that he had a major surgery. So the only people that actually know about it is my dad, me, his brother, and sister. Other than that, he really doesn't like talking about it. It's actually a common thing that I found out later in the doctor, from the doctor later on. It's actually a very common thing amongst teenage boys. So if he wants to sit there and talk about it, maybe another family or another teenage boy is going through it, I'd love to have him on here and talk about that. Also, another piece of relationship advice that I have actually heard from other podcasts, books I've read, anything like that, is guys, I know you're not going to hear this. Girls, here's a little secret. Don't sleep with a guy on the first date. We kind of lose respect for y'all. Make a guy kind of work for it. Guys, just because you want to sleep with her on the first date doesn't mean you have to. I have done that myself in my personal own experience. Have gone with a girl. First time I got her to my house, within 3 hours, I slept with her. And I really wanted to make a relationship with this girl. We ended up did date for a couple of months. Another piece of advice I can give you in that part is if you are in a relationship, is that you sit there and don't look at the big things. Don't sit there and be like, hey, I see this as a problem, without sitting there like reinforcing them like, hey, this is the little things that you're doing right. You want to start off saying something wrong by giving at least 3 positives of what they're doing right and reassure them that you want this relationship to go in moving forward. So the first piece of advice I would give you is give them something positive that they're doing right. Like, hey, babe, this is what I've noticed. Or sit there and say, hey, I noticed the house looks amazing. If you're living together. If you're not living together, be like, hey, thank you for doing such and such. Number 2 is to ensure them that the relationship, you're just bringing up a concern, like, hey, babe, this relationship is strong. I want to move in a positive direction, but this is a concern that I have. Just those 2 alone will help arguments big time. I've noticed in my own relationship past that was actually helped. But going back in this relationship, what I came up with was I was sitting there. It was actually Christmas Eve. Came up, sat down on the porch. I asked her. I had a concern. Didn't do these 2 steps, and her reaction to it was what I'm about to give you is the reason why I sat there and say those two previous steps. Please do these. I sit there and said, hey, I've noticed when you're not walking me to my truck, when I leave your house, we're not kissing very much when I leave. I expressed that concern on the beginning. And girls, you know this. This is how she reacted. She reacted like, well, you didn't know it, but you're not noticing all the small things. You didn't notice that, I called in to sick the day before so we could spend time together to go Christmas shopping. And I did notice those things, and I should have brought them out to the front instead of expressing the concern first. So, yeah, I mean, you can see how this was going either way. We ended up breaking up, I think, about a week and a half later. It's something that I did learn along the way, being in that relationship. When I did take the time to reflect, being single, it helped me realize, like, hey, I could have approached this totally different. Would it have changed the relationship? I don't know. I don't live in what ifs. We did try to be friends for a while, which if she ever sees this video, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing great. I don't wish any bad on any of my exes, no matter who you are. So with that being said, I've taken a lot of time to sit there and self-reflect. That relationship ended, I think, 2 days before New Year's of 2021. Now that it is 2022. It took me about 7 months to actually get into another relationship. Realize that, like I said before, you are a reflection of who you're giving out. It's like a mirror image. So if you're not emotional, she's not going to be emotional. Or it's something that happened in your childhood. If you're needy, you might want to take a look back in your childhood and figure out where that came from. My neediness came from the childhood. It wasn't really needy. It was like more of being wanting to have approval. As a backstory on that, I played basketball. If you haven't seen the introduction video, please check that out. It's Real World, REEL World, as an introduction video. But as I was growing up, I was trying to get the approval of my dad, and I was being needy in that aspect. So I had to, like I said, I had to go back when I first started playing basketball in 6th grade to figure out where that neediness was coming from. And in this past relationship, I fixed that going forward. I wasn't needy. She was very emotional, I felt like in the relationship or in my past where I didn't have emotional girls, this one was very emotional. It went from literally one extreme to the other. But when we got into arguments, they sit there and say you have 5 love languages. I heard on the podcast that there's love languages of fighting. I am the type of person that I want to sit down and work it out and sit there and come up with a compromise. I don't want to win the argument. I don't care if I lose the argument. I just want to come up with a compromise that we both agree on. I do raise my voice a little if I don't think I'm being heard. And I'm still, as being single now, I'm working on that. I need to express that before we actually get into our first argument. That'd be something that you might want to express when you start dating. Like, hey, this is how I am when I get into a fight if I don't feel like I'm being heard or understood. When you're in a relationship, if you're starting to argue and fight, a lot of people aren't active listeners. Like, for example, if I was sitting there saying, hey, this is my concern, blah, 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 then I would sit there and repeat what I've learned. I would sit there and become an active listener. I would repeat back, like, hey, I understood that this is your concern, this is how you feel, that I understand it right. Makes arguments calm down a little bit, unless they're narcissistic. Then they're going to flip everything back around on you. Uh, Everybody has different fight languages. Some people, I've noticed a lot of girls will sit there and shut down and walk away. It used to drive me crazy back in my late 20s, early 30s. Now it really doesn't bother me because I know people need time to cool down. As long as they come back and talk to me and we solve it, or come up with a compromise that we both agree on, that's fine. But as for today's video, that's all the relationship advice I've got. Please, like I said, click and subscribe. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I will leave a link in the description. Please put your goals, everything, your goals, what you want to accomplish, what your problems are, and I will give you a phone call as a free consult and see if we can work together. Thank y'all. Y'all have a great day. Welcome to the real world.